Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Imperial Valley Desert Museum's Emergency Preparedness Seminar Workshop Series. Over the course of the last few and ongoing weeks, the museum here is partnering with the American Red Cross to cover and provide a number of classes covering the myriad of different disasters that we do face here in Imperial Valley and the best ways we can adapt and respond to them, and not just respond, but prepare for them. And with that in mind, today's presentation is specifically geared towards businesses, and it is for the Ready Rating program. For this program, the whole idea is for your business to be prepared to respond to the unexpected, be it natural disasters or more of a human agency caused, and to ensure the safety not only yourself, but your staff and your guests. And just like that, the museum actually does practice this ourselves, so we are very happy to be able to provide this to you here today, these resources, this course covering, and to, of course, welcome the American Red Cross here today to provide that class. So with that in mind, I'm going to turn the lesson over here to our two speakers for the day, Sarah-Lise Sandoval and Dennis Guzman. Sarah-Lise, would you like to begin?
Yes, thank you, David, for being here and for letting us be here. So hi, everyone. My name is Sarah-Lise Sandoval, and I'm the preparedness lead from the Imperial County's American Red Cross. Our presenter for today's Ready Rating presentation is Dennis Guzman. Dennis retired as a professor of marketing and was the former dean of the College of Business Administration at California State University, San Marcos. Dennis has been a volunteer with the Red Cross for over 18 months. He does presentations on disaster preparedness and is the program lead for our Ready Rating program, a free web-based program to assist organizations in preparing for disasters. And he's also the program lead for unsolicited donations management. He is a member of a disaster action team and helps families recover from various disasters, including home fires and floods. Thank you for being here with us today, Dennis Guzman.
Okay. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. So I almost wanted to say just like I wrote it, but unfortunately I didn't write it. So as Sarah-Lise talked about, yes, we're going to be talking today about a great program that the American Red Cross has, Ready Rating. I'm going to be saying this a number of times, but you can find this program at readyrating.org. And again, so basically the program is a free, yes, free, web-based, self-paced emergency preparedness program. I mean, let me repeat that. So it's free, it's self-paced, it's on the web, it'll make your organization prepared. And because it helps organizations of all types, and we'll talk about that in the presentation itself, but what it'll help you do, it'll help you to appropriately prepare, to respond effectively, and to recover quickly from whether it be a disaster or some other type of emergency. And what it does, it provides specific tailored design guidelines for different types of organizations. So whether it be, you're a retailer, manufacturer, service provider, profit, nonprofit, they will give you specifically detailed information. And not only that, it provides detailed information for specific types of disasters that can occur. Also, the program meets or exceeds the OSHA requirements for an emergency action plan or an EAP, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then what happens is, because it's this web-based and self-paced, you can individualize it to meet your specific organization needs. Like, I could almost quit right here, because everything you need to know is on this site. That it's a free program to help you repair. But what we need to look at, why is it important for your organization to be prepared for any type of emergency or disaster? Basically, only 50% of organizations have some type of cyber protection. Only 23% basically have created a preparedness plan, and only 37% have a action plan. And the statistics say, basically, if you do not have a plan, there's a 40% chance that you will fail within 2 weeks of the organization. Another 25% will fail within the next year, and 90% within 2 years. And so these numbers are pretty set, actually. And it boils down to what? That majority of organizations are not prepared. But the point is that disasters are going to happen. I mean, the pandemic has just been a real vivid example of what can happen at any time. Because disasters and emergencies are they're unpredictable. And we don't know when they're going to happen, and that's why it becomes important. When we look at even houses of worship and nonprofits, that's even a sadder situation. And so basically, disasters are going to happen. We need to be prepared. So just to kind of to let us know, what are the types of disasters that we can expect to have occur? So there are natural disasters, such as earthquakes, floods, wildfires. Now, for us, it's not so extreme weather, although that can be a threat too. So here in this area, earthquakes, fires, and floods are the most common types that can occur. But there's also can be human-caused emergencies. And kind of the difference between a disaster and versus an emergency. An emergency is a localized thing where it happens just within either your company or a small area, and that's likely to be human cause, whether it be some type of accident or some type of violence or a fire. Whereas disasters are involved a lot of the businesses or a lot of organizations, in which earthquakes, flooding, wildfires tend to be a case of that. And then we can also have disasters that are a result of technological issues. Every organization is going to sometimes experience some type of a blackout. Even now, as we're entering into the wildfire season, sometimes SDG&Es is saying they're going to intentionally turn off the electricity. How will that impact your business? Will you be able to continue operating, making product or making sales? We can also have hazardous material spills, nuclear events, some acts of terrorism. So basically, all of these things that can happen, we're truly aware. I mean, I've used this presentation a number of times, and before the pandemic, and the pandemic is listed last because it's so unlikely, but yet we're up to it completely. So we realize that a disaster can happen at any time. And so we need to be ready to do that, because what can happen when we have a disaster? Well, first of all, it can affect our people, our employees, and our customers. They can be injured, even to the standpoint of losing their life. Because of this, you might lose customers to other businesses, because if your business is closed, they may not come back. Obviously, facilities, your buildings and equipment become important, and the disasters can really influence these, as well as a loss of information. All of these, though, basically are going to have some type of a financial impact upon your business. Whether you lose business either during or after the disaster, the loss of customers, God forbid that some people get hurt and you have to deal with those issues. You can also, it may not directly affect you, but it could affect your suppliers and your distributors. Whereas if they're affected, you may not be able to do business. And so it's important that that not only protect yourself, but you protect the entire chain from all the way to the suppliers, through the distributors, through the customers. Then by not having a preparation, you can be penalized by OSHA or by others. And then, of course, there's always the possibility of someone who's injured having a lawsuit. And then because of what happens, you can have the impact upon your reputation. So the potential can be pretty drastic. So what we need to do when it comes to disaster preparedness, there's really kind of 4 basic steps that we need to engage in. You need to have a plan. So you need to know what you're going to do. Your employees need to know what to do before, during, and after to be able to take care of that. But that plan has to be communicated. You have to let your employees know who's supposed to do what, where are they supposed to go, what jobs need to be prepared. And then you need to practice. I don't know if you remember, being in grade school, where in my case, you'd have fire drills. because you need to practice where we need to go. The same thing happens for your plan. You need to practice, and then the objective is to continuously improve. But as we said, most organizations are not prepared enough. So the solution is the American Red Cross Ready Rating Program. And again, you can find that program at www.readyrating.org. And the membership, as we said, it's free, it's online, it's self-paced, so you can follow it to the standpoint that you need to. It's going to give you customized feedback specifically for your type of organization and for the type of disaster you're likely to face. And it meets or exceeds OSHA standards. And so, so it's a great program to look at. And so the organizations is both for profit, for businesses, whether they're large or small. It's for schools, house of worship, nonprofits, health organizations, financial institutions. You name it. The program is tailored, designed to be able to help that. So you're not getting some generic type of information. You're getting information specifically that will be of useful to you and that will help you. Currently there are over 14,000 members within the program itself. And so by joining, what happens is, again, it just makes your disaster planning simple. You control the process. And so you don't have to go overnight. You can, if you want, you can take baby steps. And this is what the program will do. It'll basically tell you what are the most essential steps that you can do now that will provide the greatest degree of protection for your organization. So again, just anything you can do to make you more prepared will help not only you, but your employees and your customers. One of the beautiful things about this program is what it does, you do an assessment. And based upon the assessment, and again, if you'll be truthful and honest within that, it'll tell you, okay, based upon what you told us, here's what you need to do next. And then it gives you resources that you can use to help fill that. And so basically, it's thanks to our generous donors, this program is made available because we believe, the Red Cross believes, is that your business being prepared and knowing what to do during a disaster becomes extremely important. So exactly what will it do for your organization? First, it's going to measure your current level of preparedness. And that's where then the program will start. So you can literally have nothing. Your organization has not even thought about what you might do. It'll take you from there. On the other hand, if you do have a plan in place and you've done some things, again, it'll make suggestions for how do you take it and make it even more efficient from there. So again, it'll help you create and or improve your emergency plans, your emergency action plan, which basically you're required to do by OSHA. We'll speak to that in just a second. But importantly, what it does, it lets your employees know ahead of time. What is it that everyone needs to do? So, you work as a team and you'll make this thing happen. Again, and it's free. So it's simple, it's cost effective, and it's a way to help you get started along that path of being prepared. If you were to go, again, the site is what? readyrating.org. This is the opening site that you will see. And this is where you can register. This is where you can do your assessments. Even just looking at this, we can see active shooter. Unfortunately, that's a concern that we have to have now. So it basically tells you and your organization, how to handle that particular process. So readyrating.org. So when you go into this site, and if we had time, we'd actually do it, but unfortunately we don't. But we'd be happy to come for your organization and make a presentation and deal with you specifically on how to do this. So when you go into Ready Rating, there's two choices for doing an assessment. The first one is called Ready Go, which is about 25 questions. It'll take you about a half hour to do it. The Ready Go is for organizations that really haven't done a lot of effort in terms of their preparedness planning. So they're kind of newbies at it, or they're just getting started. So this will give you the basics. Now, however, if your organization does have a plan and you do have some level of preparedness, then you might want to take the Ready Advance. The Ready Advance basically is more comprehensive. Now, this one is a 60-question assessment, and it'll take you about an hour to be able to do that. So, I mean, for just a small amount of time, it's going to give you a lot of information that will use you and that will get you started along this process. What the assessment does, it's going to ask you a series of questions in 5 different areas. Excuse me while I get a drink here. Allergies are killing me. So the first area is participation. Basically, it's going to measure your level of commitment and preparedness. But it also talks about developing an emergency action plan. The other assessment deals with your facilities and equipment. Do you have them protected? Do you have a plan to take care of it? Then it gives you what type of training and the exercises do you do to properly train your people. And then it reaches out, it talks about your extended community. And that can be dealing with what about your suppliers? What about your distributors? What about your customers? What about your own employees? They also need to be prepared. And so this is a screenshot of what this assessment will look like. And so again, what they will do, this is the area of participation. Again, you're going to answer either yes or no. And again, you know, the safety of our staff and clients is our top priority. And again, you need to be honest within your assessment because you're going to get a report. And you see the little camera there? I don't know if you see that, but the little camera there basically means that there's a film, a video that goes along with it that you can view that video. So what it does, depending on the assessment that you do, the ready go or the ready advance, you're going to be asked either 25 or 60 questions. And they're basically yes, no type of questions that you can assess. And then based upon your answers, what will happen is then the program will print out or submit to you a next steps report. And so what the next steps report will do is going to outline the recommendations that you can take, the steps you can take to prepare your level. And then to help you, the next steps not only just tell you here's what you need to do, then the Resource Center will give you some assistance in doing that. They will give you, and we'll talk about that just in a second. So basically, you can kind of monitor your progress as you go through. And you can take the assessment after, you know, I would suggest you take the assessment every quarter, at least every, you know, semi-annually, to where you kind of know where are we at, what do we need to be doing to making progress within an organization. Looking at the Resource Center has over 70 actionable resources that you can use. They have 30 videos that you can watch. Either you can watch or something that you can show to your employees. So these are by trained experts who have developed these, like how to develop an emergency action plan. It gives you job descriptions for forming your committee and reports. They have checklists, sample forms, presentation decks that that you can share. So they have exercise training that you can use. And so the Resource Center is just basically an invaluable source that you can use to help you. So again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to hire an expensive consultant to come in, because basically the Red Cross has gone to these experts and they had developed these resources. So let's just talk a little bit about the Emergency Action Plan, or the EAP. What this is a document that outlines the courses of action that you should be taking before, during, and after a disaster. And basically what it does an assessment where you look at what are the most probable or likely disasters that you're going to incur. And then it gives you instructions of how to prevent, mitigate, and how to recover from that. So actually, OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Organization, requires every organization with 10 or more employees to have a written EAP, an emergency action plan. However, if you have under 10 employees, you're not off the hook. You also have to have an emergency action plan. It just doesn't have to be written. But you do have to basically inform your employees of what that is. But if you're going to do it, why would you not do that? So what the Ready Rating program does is it provides a template that you can use that will actually prepare your emergency action plan that will meet or exceed the OSHA standards. And again, there's two forms. For those organizations that are just starting out, you'll use the EPA GO template. And basically what that template will do, it will meet all of the minimum or exceed all of the minimum requirements that OSHA has. So what can happen if there were to be some type of emergency or disaster at your organization and OSHA becomes in, they can give you a fine. And so not only do you have the penalty and all of the loss due to the disaster, but you can also be fined and penalized for doing this. But again, you don't want to do it just because of the threat of penalty. You want to do it because it's the right thing to do. And so what this template will do, then it will actually help you easily prepare your emergency action plan. And so again, this is just a screenshot of what that would look like. And so as you can see there, basically, you can they'll give you some verbiage that you can use, and you can click upon that, and you can customize. You can either include it, you can add more if it's not relevant to your organization or your situation, you can take care. But one of the cool things that this emergency action plan will do is it will have a hazard and resource vulnerability analysis. And basically what this will do is going to determine what are the most likely disasters your organization can face, and then the consequences. So the key questions that you'll be asking during this is, what can happen? So for example, what happens if you lose electricity? Will you be able to continue production? Will you be able to continue to serve customers? What happens if there's a flood or wildfire? So basically you're going to assess what can happen. Then you want to assign some probabilities that will happen and those consequences. And basically what your action plan will do is it's kind of a two-pronged thing. One prong is, let's do those kind of low-hanging fruits. Let's do those things. It might be as simple as putting in some fire extinguishers. Some things that you can do fairly simple, but then it'll also help you address what are the most likely things to occur. And then how will we deal with those particular issues? So it's important that you do this type of analysis so that you can do it. And so in fact, when we look at the goals of the EPA, what is it that we're really attempting to do? We want to, first of all, protect people. That's going to be your most valuable asset, your employees, your customers, your suppliers, your distributors. So you want to be sure that your people are protected. It's also important that you have a plan in place that you can protect your critical assets. What is it that your organization needs to be able to operate? And then how do you take care of that? And so, for example, if a fire were to completely destroy your facilities, what do? Do you have a backup place that you might be able to go to? It will cause you to, to think through some of these things. And so the real goal of the EPA is that your organization can stay in business after. So we want to protect the people, protect your assets, and then stay in business. And so it just makes sense that we're going to be able to do that. So I would strongly encourage you then to become a Ready Rating member. To do that, all you have to do is go to www.readyrating.org. Now they do have, you do have to accept a membership agreement. But the gist of that membership agreement is that you agree to take your preparedness seriously. That you will devote, because it's mostly a matter at first devoting time. Now that will perhaps take some money, like you have to put in fire extinguishers and stuff like that, but the cost is minimal compared to the protection that you can do. Then you complete the ready, ready self-assessment. Then you will get your next steps report. Then you get the resources to be able to do that. So basically, in a nutshell, that's what the Ready Rating program is all about. So here's what you need to do. First, you need to schedule an employee preparedness presentation. So this is a presentation designed for your employees that will help them become prepared. Because if your employees if they're not prepared at home, they won't be available to help you. They have to have their own situation. So if there's a wildfire, it's not only could affect your business, it's likely to affect your employees. If there's an earthquake, it's not only likely to affect you, it's also likely to affect your employees. So it's important not only that your employees know what to do at work, it's also important that they know what to do at home. And so that's what this employee preparedness presentation is. It basically helps people be prepared. And the more people are prepared, the easier it becomes. Then join the Ready Ready program at readyready.org. Then you can measure your levels of preparedness, either with the 30-minute test or the 60-minute test. And to where, again, it will get you started of where you need to know. So in kind of looking at the summary of everything, what do we know? Well, first we know what? Disasters are going to occur. There's no question there will be some type of an emergency. I mean, 18 months ago, who would have thought that we would have had the disaster that we had with the COVID pandemic? It's drastically affected everything about our lives. So we're going to have disasters. And the question is, will you be prepared for that? So you need to be prepared to protect you, your people, and your assets. You want to increase your probability of staying in business. And so the Ready Rating program is a way to help you do that in an inexpensive, convenient way. Again, it's free. All you have to do is be committed in. And again, as we see, the pandemic has made it very aware that it becomes important for us to be able to do that. Okay, so www.readyrating.org will get you started to help make sure that your organization is prepared. And so I don't know, unless we have any questions, David, we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dennis, and excellent presentation. It's absolutely imperative to have these sort of preparations in place, because when the time does
so David,
come,
I understand that you have a plan. So what do you do?
Absolutely. Let me actually just pull it up here. I'm happy to share that with everybody as well. So if it's all right, I'm actually going to stop your screen for a moment there.
Yeah. I'll if I can get out of it here.
All right, we should see this right here. So the IVDM emergency management plan is an emergency preparedness plan is fairly extensive. We go over to about 50 pages or so, and it's a constantly evolving, constantly changing document. I think that's one thing as well.
Good.
That is, when you make these preparations, it's great, and that you are making these steps, you are looking ahead to the future, but it's something that you need to revisit every year, every few months. Times are changing, resources change. Every year I have to go through this and update our contacts for emergency communications networks. And every year I'm adding new content. I mean, who knew that, as you said, prior to this, last year, we did not have a viral outbreak as within our list here. And now it's on our list right here. So absolutely, you never know what emergencies are going to come, but you do your best to adapt and look ahead and respond to them. Here at the museum, we look at everything from accidental damage to active shooters, bomb threats, earthquakes, fires, floods, hazardous materials. And we actually identified, like you said, know what your greatest threats are. We have earthquakes, we have floods. Out here, the greatest one we actually risk from our museum standpoint is flash floods. We have a massive floodplain that the museum exists within. So that is our bigger concern, even ahead of earthquakes, where we have more active prevention measures already in place. So it's know your business, know your risks, know your liabilities, and then practice them. Every year we have staff we do a training exercise to go through these different responses, so we know the best methods, and we then evaluate to determine if we can improve on them at all. So it is a constantly learning process, and I liked how you actually also included that map of the emergency exits. I'm not sure if you can see this here now. We have one for our building as well. We posted up, and when we just did our remodel part of the building, we had to update this as well, and we outline where the fire extinguishers are and everything else. And the important thing here, it's not just for the safety of your staff or the facility or your assets, but it's also, of course, for your guests and your customers. You can recover from everything else, but that's one that you really need to make sure you never have to face in the first place.
Yeah, that's excellent. You know, and you're a good role model, you know, to do that. And thank you for allowing the Red Cross to come in and to make this presentation to let others know that there is this valuable resource that's out there that, again, you need to take advantage of to make sure your organization is just prepared as the Imperial Valley Desert Museum is. Okay.
Absolutely, and it's a constant process. We can say we're prepared, but you're not going to be for everything. But you can always look ahead.
It is very much so.
Excellent. And one final thing I'll say here as well is our initial emergency plan, the first one developed in 2012, came to us from my predecessor, our previous director, Neil Hitch, and his time working at another museum in the Turks and Caicos, where in the back-to-back of 2 different seasons, 2 years, they had hurricanes come on through and wipe their museum off the face of the earth, and they had to rebuild. And it's from those experiences that a little bit late, they were able to learn we need to have these plans, and that shaped our experience moving forward. And yeah, absolutely. You never know what's going to happen to you. We are in a land of extremes, but you know, it takes extreme people as well to be able to survive it, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Dennis, thank you so much here. I'm not sure if there's anything else you'd like to add.
No, but again, just thank you again for the opportunity. If you have any questions or issues, be sure to contact us at the Red Cross, and we'll be happy to come to your organization, provide any help we can to make sure that your organization is prepared. So again, so thank you.
And thank you. And Sarah Lise as well, thank you. Once again here for the Imperial Valley Desert Museum. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Dr. Brickner, for having us here as well.
We're always happy to. This is a great partnership. And for everybody else out there watching us either live or after the fact, just do remember that the American Red Cross is a great community resource and asset here. They're not just here for when emergencies happen, but rather to help you prepare for them and look ahead before they do. So definitely please feel free to reach out. They're wonderful people, great partners to work with. And if you ever have any additional questions, you can always stop by and reach out to us here at the museum as well. We am very excited to announce that 1 week from today, on the 14th, is going to be our official reopening day. So please do come on back out and get to know your community museum. We're located right here in Ocotillo, right off the freeway, 11 Frontage Road. And starting next week, our hours are going to be Wednesday through Sunday, 10 to 3. As part of our emergency plan, we actually did adjust our hours. We were normally 10 to 4. We gave ourselves that extra hour, recognizing the risk of making sure we can have some time to clean up and disinfect and ready the building again for tomorrow and for the next day, so we can continue to better serve our community. So we look forward to welcoming you back, and we look forward to the continuation of this program series starting again next week. But I think we're going to finish it off in the meanwhile. Thank you, everyone, again.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Have a great day now.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dennis.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.